if we are looking at the graphing calculator, here are the main things that I want to point out. Okay, so go back to your notes, add these pieces in here. Graphing calculators do not do fractions the way that the scientific calculator does. So you're going to see lots of similar things we've already talked about. Your negative and your subtraction. Same thing that we need to check. Okay, your x squared is to the left of the 7, sort of up a little bit. Your up caret button is still on this calculator, but it's over here above the division. Okay, hitting second and then x squared is still going to be your square root. So lots of those things in terms of keystrokes are the same. Fractions are the big piece we need to talk about. You cannot type into your calculator a mixed number of 4 1/2. Is yours an 84? Yours is going to be just slightly different than the ones we have in the classroom. So let me know if something is weird and I'll put my eyes on it.
Okay.
I don't know if we'll run into anything today.
Okay.
But just let me know. If you want to type 4 1/2 into your calculator, you need to type in 4 plus 1/2. So you hit 4, your addition sign, 1 divided by 2. You will notice on the graphing calculator, right, it then shows up looking like 1/2. Hit equals, and it will have it in there as 4.5, 4 1/2. If you want to change something from a fraction to a decimal, you are going to have to hit the math button. Your math button is over here underneath your alpha button. Okay, so if you hit math, you'll see something with an arrow pointing to a fraction or an arrow pointing to a decimal. Do we see that? So if we want to change it to a fraction, then we'll hit enter. Hit enter again, and then it will flip it. Your graphing calculator will only switch it into an improper fraction. There are some things you can do with the settings, but we don't want to mess with those because as soon as you start messing with those, you're stuck. It's not where we want to go. Okay? So if you do math and then you hit the arrow and then fraction, okay, that's going to change it to a fraction. You have to hit enter twice after it. If you do the arrow and then decimal, it'll change it to a decimal. You have to trick your calculator into changing something into a mixed number. To get it to change something into a mixed number. So for example, let's say we have 12 divided by 10. And we want to reduce it and get it into a mixed number. Okay, so if we do 12 divided by 10, we hit enter. It gives us 1.2, right? We can't just change this to a decimal. If we hit math and then turn it into a decimal, it'll go back to an improper. So instead, what you have to do is take just the decimal portion. So put 0.2 into your calculator, then press math, then select to change it into a fraction. You have to enter twice. And then do you see how you get the 1/5? So that would be an answer of 1 and 1/5 because we'd have to pull that 1 from up above. Does that make sense? You see that? Okay, your graphing calculator can sometimes get you into weird places. So here's another important thing you need to know. Second and then mode. This is like emergency, help me, get me out of this. If you press second and then mode, which is right next to your second button, okay, this is like hitting exit. It exits you out of whatever you're in and takes you right back to your basic calculator screen. Like where you can enter 1 + 1 = 2. So if you ever if you accidentally bump something on your calculator, you can get some weird screens, and if you don't know how to get out of it, you're kind of stuck. Okay, the next important one is that if you hit second and then the number 0, two options. Either take it with you or put it in your white folder. If for some bizarre reason school was canceled tomorrow, finishing out the packet would be what I have as your e-learning, but I'm gonna have it posted on Canvas as well. So whichever you guys prefer, we're gonna talk about that. Okay, if you press second and then 0, it's gonna pull up the catalog and it will give you a list of every single option you have on your graphing calculator. So if you're like, holy cow, I can't find something, I forget how to do it, second and then 0 is something that you can scroll through and you can find all the different keys that the graphing calculator will give you. I mean, you'll be scrolling for forever potentially, but at least it's a place you can go if you're like, I don't know what else to do. The other rules still apply for everything else that we looked at. When to put in the parentheses, when to split it up, when to use your exponent. All of those rules still apply, just a different looking calculator now. Does that make sense? Here's what I want to happen.